Yes, he did. Yes, absolutely, yeah. What's up, guys? I got the pencil here, and here we are to do a breakdown/discussion. It's gonna be a quick one on whether or not Megumi Fushiguro, the Prince of Shadow, the former vessel of the King of Curses, the Son of the Shade, he who was born from a beast, chosen to be heavenly restricted, whether he deserved better or not. Like, on every level, realistically? I'd say on every level. Yeah, probably on every level. On every level. I'd say character-wise, narratively, and just life. Darn, that boy. Even power-wise, that boy went through it. But let's not waste any more time, and let's hop right into it. Heading me. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? The guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do mean to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact, Megumi, he's a character, alright. And notably, he's a character who, at least in my view, in my perspective on the fandom, is kind of split directly down the middle in terms of overall perspective. There are some people who absolutely love the character, praise him to the moon and back, think he's amazing, beautiful, wonderful, gorgeous, all that. And then there's the other half of the fandom who's like, who? What? Oh, you mean that guy that disappeared for like just 6 of the narrative? In the back half of it, and only just recently became a character again, and even before that, he barely had any screen time? He had, what, like 4 fights? That guy? Oh, our supposed dude, protagonist? What about him? And I find myself now sitting like somewhere directly in between, where I was once a wholehearted part of who. Mainly because Megumi Fushiguro is just a character who ultimately, it feels like he should be the main character of a story, but unfortunately, JJK is simply not the story where he was going to be the main character, if you know what I'm talking about. Because, obviously, Yuji Todori is our main character. No. It never was. Never was going to be. And never was... Well, actually... The real question is... Because Gege did confirm that ultimately when Yuji initially died, that was supposed to be a thing that stuck around. So maybe Megumi would have been the main character in another universe. Huh. I'd still love to see Gege's drafts for that version of JJK. That would be interesting. But with it being the case, Yuji Todori is our main character. And naturally, JJK is the story of Yuji Todori. Now, once again, with that early confirmation from Gege that, hey, I was going to off the character here, but he's a little bit too popular for me to do that. The question is sort of risen, right? So, if JJK is Yuji's story, then does that mean that Megumi should have gotten more? Did Megumi deserve better at all? Because ultimately, just like almost every other character in the narrative, they're sort of a form and function of Yuji's narrative, right? Because JJK stole his story. Yuta Kotsu, part of Yuji's narrative. Maki Zenin, part of Yuji's narrative. Megumi Fushiguro, Gojo Satoru, Suguru Getsu, every single character, Big Jaku, Sukuna himself, all of these characters are part of Yuji's narrative. So, if that's the case, and Megumi served his role as the friend to be saved and the one to help Yuji realize the value of humanity, his own and others, did Megumi really deserve more? I mean, he did his job, right? Like, it really depends. It really depends. Because with JJK being a solid 271 chapters long, you would have to find time to fit in more Megumi. And technically you can, but the question is, once again, does he deserve it? Does he deserve it? Because of the whole narrative form versus function. That's the thing with JJK in particular. A lot of characters, and by a lot of characters, I mean a lot of characters, get introduced to kind of just serve other characters, which serve other characters, which serve Yuji. Mahito exists to serve Yuji. Kinjaku exists to, in a roundabout way, create and then serve Yuji by creating him. Jane exists, so on, and so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. So Megumi exists to serve Yuji. And ultimately, I think you could still have given him more, even with JJK being the exact same length, if you just wrote it a bit differently, and he did deserve better. Because we have other characters who got better. Ryomen Sukuna, love the guy. Fantastic. Real neat final antagonist, at least in my opinion. Yeah, he got way more than Megumi. Which is crazy, because he wasn't an active, free will, free body, sentient character for like 5, 6 of the narrative. Is that highballing it? Isn't it like one of them? Because he comes through the math. Someone do the math on that. I'm pretty sure Sukuna did not have a full autonomous body he could control for like 4/5 of the narrative. Yet somehow he feels like a much more complete character that went through a much more complete and realized arc than Megumi did. And of course, we've known both of these characters since chapter 1, but ultimately Megumi just falls a whole lot flatter. Kind of directly on his face, ironically enough, for a character who didn't fall on his face after being released from Sukuna. He had his fall on his back. Yeah, Megumi, it's just strange, right? And once again, like I mentioned with the main character comment, Megumi has all the tools. In fact, you could argue he has some more tools than even Yuji does. He has the family members, aka Toji Fushiguro, Maki Zenin, Samuki, by proxy Yoro. Like, he has all these different characters who are directly tied into him and his bloodline. And obviously, he's the reason we went into the Culling Games the way we did, if you'll remember. I know it's been forever and a day, but don't forget, the whole reason Yuji even joined the Culling Games and ended up leading the Shinjuku Showdown was specifically to save Samuki. A non-character, admittedly, but Samuki for Megumi. That's what Yuta, Hikari, Yuji, that thing, and everyone else decided to hop in and risk their lives for. It was for Megumi's sake. And obviously, you know, they did have to stop Hinjaku and the merger and stuff like that. But obviously, they probably would have played it differently if they didn't have to do so many things simply to secure Samuki's life, which is all for Megumi. But the issue is, since these characters are tied into Megumi, but Megumi's tied into Yuji, and narratively speaking, we can't really spend too much time with Megumi because we have to set up other characters who also exist to serve Yuji on the grand macro plot scale. He doesn't get as much as he should, which leads to certain things being a teeny tiny tad bit underwhelming in terms of the character and his function, at least in my opinion. Notably, I feel like Megumi getting possessed and his freedom from said possession that lasted about 1/6 to 1/5 of the narrative probably should have hit me harder. And I feel like it should have hit the fandom a whole lot harder too. Notably, the big thing I really saw when chapter 269 first dropped, or 268, was everyone being happy that it was just over. For one, in the case of Sukuna, except for the Sukuna fans, naturally. And then, for the Sukuna fans, everyone was just kind of sitting in this weird spot, like, oh, like, is he finished? What about that last finger? Like, ultimately, there was just questions all surrounding Sukuna. You know, the more complete character. And Sukuna's reflection and last conversation with Yuji Tadori was the focal point of discussion, and in my opinion, still kind of is. Megumi Fushiguro feels like an afterthought in the narrative, and he's treated like one too. Even the last chapter, which we don't have access to right now, but the last chapter, 271, it's a 3-character chapter. It is a Gojo, Sukuna, and Yuji chapter. You know who's not there? Megumi, our protagonist. Now, admittedly, there is some hot debate in the community whether or not Gojo's the protagonist and not Megumi. And technically, you do not have to introduce your protagonist in chapter 1. Look at a series like Naruto, where I don't think Sasuke's introduced in chapter 1. I feel like Sasuke's not introduced for a minute. Is he like introduced like 3 chapters in? Am I tweaking? I need to reread Naruto like again. So I need to double check that. But ultimately, you can introduce your protagonist later, and obviously Gojo has an entire arc centered around him, but I feel like if you miss him for half the narrative, we kind of can't call you the protagonist. And Megumi's missing only for 1/5 of the narrative. So we can kind of call him the protagonist. So ultimately, the fact that he gets so little, but he's the focal point of so much, is this weird inverted dichotomy that I think kind of closes in on itself and causes like a pseudo black hole effect where, yeah, Megumi's real important, but like, who's Megumi? And notably, when I say who's Megumi, I say this in the sense that I personally understand as a writer in practice, not a professional one, every single character is a plot device. Even the greatest, most amazing, juiciest, most scrumdiddlyumptious, legendary character you can think of, ultimately, is a plot device. That's what all characters are. They're tools. They're not organic. They're not, like, decided by the laws of our universe. No. They are every bit created and controlled by their authors. So every single character ever, from the greatest to the worst, is a plot device in some way, shape, or form. Whether they be filler, whether they be major, whether they be minor, whether they be important, whether they not be. So Megumi Fushiguro is a plot device, but the issue is, since he didn't get too much, he only feels like a plot device. The fact that we did have a solid conclusion to Megumi's arc here gets so overlooked because we barely had time to consider Megumi's arc. Got like one bit of exploration right at the end of his Culling Games fight, then he knocks, then he gets saved by Angel, they talk for like 2 chapters, deal with the military for like a chapter and a half, and then boom, he gets possessed. Megumi's arc about self-acceptance and desiring to live for others in a different way than what he was initially doing never really gets full time to be focused on because he doesn't get to be a character for a long time by the time his arc gets established. He's reduced to the background. He's shoved very quickly back there, and ultimately it only does Megumi a disservice. Does it do the plot a good service? Absolutely. If you had to ask me which character I want to be developed more, Megumi or Sukuna, I'm going to say Sukuna every single time. I only own one of those character statues, and unless someone decides to gift me a Megumi statue, I sure ain't going out and buying it. So clearly, I love Big Kuna. And if you had to ask me, Pencil, in order to get more Megumi, would you sacrifice more Kuna? No! Absolutely not. That's a trade-off I am not taking. But still, all that aside, he deserved better as a Jinchuriki. That's the thing. Since Yuji gets so much good character work, especially as a character who really went from the bottom of it to honestly beneath the bottom to the top of it in terms of just overall character praise, character writing, stuff like that, he got it. Ryomen Sukuna went from a malevolent entity with very little history or backstory to a malevolent entity with a bit more history and backstory, but still a really, really good character, at least in my opinion. Satoru Gojo. Like, come on now, like, obviously, you know the writing of Satoru Gojo. I mean, I know some people don't like the writing of Satoru Gojo, and I get it, teach their own, but still, on a quality level, I'd say it's pretty darn decent. I think it had an impact for a reason. But Megumi's writing, it just feels so afterthought-ish. It feels like he was like, oh, that's right, I was gonna set up this whole thing. I really don't want to write JJK anymore. And then just ended it. Is it a bad ending for the character? No. And that's the thing, right? When I ask if Megumi deserved better, I question what better is. Because, like, what would I remove? What would I sack? I like a lot of JJK. And unfortunately, it's not a series with a lot of fat to cut. Like, hypothetically, you could pare down some of the colony fights to give Megumi more time, but we already had a whole colony fight, and it's clear that Gege just kind of wasn't interested in writing that too much. So, like, I give Megumi back to Gege, chop out 5 chapters of the series and be like, work with this. And Gege would look at me and be like, I don't really feel like it. Because Megumi did deserve better. And since he had a really interesting power set, he had a really interesting background, he had interesting ties to the entire Jujutsu universe, he's a perfect representation of the future and the past simultaneously by being a sorcerer from an unknown name and unknown family despite being of the Zenin clan, inheriting one of their great techniques. Like, everything is there, but it just isn't, not enough is done with it. And ultimately, he deserves better, if only for the fact that he didn't really have a chance to get much at all. But, of course, those are just my thoughts. Please leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you think Megumi Fushiguro deserved better? Do you think he even had the chance for better? Do you think if we were to chop some time off the series, maybe cut down the Sakurajima colony, cut down the Sendai colony, cut down all the colonies, and then give maybe 5 more chapters, do you think you could have done something with Megumi's character? Or do you think it's hopeless? And the guy didn't deserve much. He's whack and garbage and didn't actually have any potential. Potential man to the moon, but not potential enough. Please let me know all that and more in the comment section down below. And if you made it all the way to the end of this video, please do me a favor and leave man potential. Man potential, as in like potential man but backwards. Leave man potential in the comment section down below. I'd like to thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that little notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do happen to have a Patreon below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Now, things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. Also, now become a member of the channel. A member to the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. So those perks include the live reactions to every other series I happen to review, and free variations of all my videos, and becoming to a $25 patron or a $25 member. You can order whatever video you want. Also, I do have a link to my Ko-Fi in the description down below. You can drop 5 beans for a short video, 25 beans for a long video, or any beans at all. Any support is always greatly appreciated. Now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching. Once again, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with a Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members: Sarah, Greyhound, Eternal Flame, NMA, Real Rare, Red Wolf 4765, Paris Arnold, Astro, Brandon Payne, and G Prosper. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $5 patrons: Sean, Midnight Lord 21, Kevin, Encarnacion, Josh Brown, Igneal Lind, and A+A. And I'd like to give a big thank you to our $7 members: Autumn Mornings Lazo, Fine, Zombie Hunter, and Austin Wimberly. Then I'd like to give a thank you to our $10 members: Robbie Uchiha, Jay Warrior, and AZ Void. Then I'd like to give a big old thank you to our $10 patrons, Overlord Zero, Joaquin Munoz, and Idem Okami.
And I'd like to give the craziest, juiciest, most next level, quadruple sloppy, toppy, next level superhuman in beyond this world kidney heaven thank you to our $100 patron, or that guy with a pencil tier patron, Calvin Elder.